This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome, everybody, to the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today, we have a lovely neighbor on with us, and that is Virginia Gringras of Vicki Tree Wellness. How are you today, love?
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me here today.
Love the background. So you, right before you came on the show, you mentioned that you're up in the Horseshoe Valley area?
Yes, yep, just up from the Horseshoe Valley Resort, like 2 minutes.
Nice. My parents ended up building a custom home on the corner of Line 4 and Bass Lake Side Road. So that's not too far from where you're at.
I run that route quite often, so I'm sure I run by their house. Yeah,
that was, and I moved back in with my parents at the time. I was living down in Newmarket and Toronto, for that matter. A little bit before that, I was down there for probably till almost 5 years. Nice. My sister ended up telling me at the time I needed to go find a girlfriend. So she's like, move down to downtown Toronto. So I experienced that whole kind of ordeal. Yep. And every Thursday I came back to play in the men's league at the Shanty Bay Golf Club.
Nice.
I was there for like 6 years, and I just one day it hit me. I'm like, what am I doing? So then I ended up coming back here, planting my roots, buying a house in Barrie.
There you go. It's a beautiful place to live for sure.
A phenomenal place to live. So really excited to have you on the show. Did a little bit of research on your business. Absolutely love all of it. So me being a curious cat that I am, I'm excited to ask you a little bit more. And I'm sure our listeners are excited to learn as well. So why don't we dive into it? And why don't you tell us a little bit more about your business?
Okay. So my business's name is Vicki Tree Wellness, located, as we said, in Horseshoe Valley. It's a boutique style wellness center that offers yoga and fitness classes, but that's pretty much 20% or 30% of the business. The other side of the business is a space for celebrations, for anything related to wellness, celebrations of life, little tiny mini weddings, 50th birthday parties, a bunch of girls getting together, bachelorettes, anything to do with wellness, which is definitely wider than just fitness or yoga or meditation. Everyday parts of life is what the Wellness Center is open for.
There is definitely something to be said about nature. I just came back from 5 days of being out there with limited. I turned my cell phone off the entire time. Nice. And I can tell you I am very much refreshed. The outdoors does absolute wonders. For all of that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the 20-30%, like you said, and then we'll dive a little bit more into talking about the wellness stuff. So can you maybe dive a little bit more into the yoga classes and stuff like that?
Sure. So we offer a wide variety of yoga. We really specialize in relaxation classes. We do hot stone, which was a relaxation class that I developed myself. I have such a monkey mind. It's hard for me to relax sometimes. I'm more of a go-getter. I have a little PETA fire inside of me. And so I developed this 90-minute hot stone relaxation class, and it just took off. We do a lot of peeling, layering on and layering off of stones and sandbags and little head massages and scents. And so it's this whole process. So from there, we do also energetic flow classes. We have a spin room that has this beautiful garage, that door that's all glass that opens up. So you're almost like spinning in the snow in the winter, which is lovely. And then we also do sculpt classes. We do a wide variety of yoga, of the different styles of yoga. But again, it's more boutique. We're definitely not looking to jam our place with as many people as we can, but instead, when you walk through the doors, you're a number. You're not a number, rather. You're a person. And so we pretty much teach to the person and to the experience. The yoga was devised from the moment you get into your car. So as you're driving down the driveway, which is about 800 meters long and all lined with trees, you're weaving, and we even constructed the driveway so that you're turning and you're weaving all the way down. It was built about 2.5 years ago in the heart of COVID. There was 43 acres of land that became available. We purchased that land and it was all full of trees. Fast forward to about not even 2.5, 3 years later, we have this beautiful 4,400 square foot building and 750 square foot yoga plank, which is deep in the woods with bug screens and soaring ceilings. So it's supposed to be an experience. So it's not just a place. So it's an experience. So when we say 20 to 30% is yoga and fitness, I like to say that very lightly because it's 20 to 30% of an experience rather than postures or a structured class that you would normally see. You're there to enjoy and want to go. You're there not to escape. You're there to make it part of your life.
Beautiful. And you also mentioned that you utilize that space for any type of celebration, birthday parties, different type of events. So for those who are listening, maybe what does that look like a little bit more?
Well, it's also for other wellness leaders. So when I built the space, like I said, for 30% of it that I would be running it and running classes and having other instructors come in. But the other 70% is there's so much knowledge, there's so much wealth of people's specialty areas that I wanted to capitalize on. And so this space is also available for rent for other instructors to come in to do their day retreats. So we have mediums coming in, renting the space for a day. We have people that specialize in breath work coming in and renting the space for the day. So you're getting all types of different expertise within the wellness area, renting the space out. We have artists coming in and renting the space out and doing painting with their group and hikes and walks. So the wellness piece is so broad. Because of the rental of the space to other wellness leaders that bring in their expertise. But on top of that, we also do like small intimate weddings, maybe 30 or 40 people. We also do celebration of lives, which is very near and dear to my heart, which you probably can touch on later because it's behind the name of Vicki Tree in memory of my sister. And we also do lots of bachelorettes. People will go to Veta Spa first and then come afterwards for like a relaxation yoga. We do lunches. We've partnered with a local lady, Oro Home Kitchen. She's fabulous and she does environmentally based little lunch boxes. So no matter what you bring in, you don't have to worry about the food portion. And it's very fairly priced. So the idea is to come into this rustic setting and to keep everything simple. We also do bridal showers, you name it. The space was developed in a way that large groups can come into the space. There's a little kitchen area. There's a boardroom table. There's an upstairs and downstairs. There's breakout rooms. And then there's that forest plank, which is about 100 meters from the building. And it feels like you're in the middle of the woods. Well, because you are. So, really, you dream it up and we can do it. Whether you want to run it yourself and you just want to rent the space, or you come to me with an idea. We have a lot of collaborations with other experts. And I'm very big on utilizing everything around you, everyone's knowledge. And you learn so much. I've learned so much in the last couple of years from all the different people that walk through the store, leading their events.
Yeah, that makes me and you both, Jeff and I, meet about 70 to 80 new businesses a month on the podcast.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
getting the chance to learn about them and then afterwards as well, a little bit more in depth is pretty crazy. Also pretty crazy how expansive the mind is that you can actually retain all of that kind of information too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But being outside in the space, Jeff was just talking about it the other day. He's a big bookworm. And some of the most successful leaders in the world, like Warren Buffett, for example, they do these retreats with their top level people, their closest workmates, to come out in a space like yours where there's no distractions, there's nothing going on. You can kind of focus at the task at hand. So it seems like you meet the need for quite a few people. Very interesting space. I'm a big outdoor guy. So
yeah. It's when you develop it with the idea that other people will share it, the sky's the limit, right? Instead of just staying in your little box of your business and your clients. And, if you take the competitive nature out of your business and realize there's enough for everybody, there's enough out there for everybody. So, the most powerful thing you can do to empower yourself is to be a connector, connect other people. Like you guys are doing right now with this Good Neighbor podcast, right? Obviously, I'm speaking to someone who does it for a living, right? So there's nothing more powerful than connecting people and empowering them through connection.
100%. That's what gets me out of bed every day. Okay, so I've been meaning to ask you this question. there's a journey. Everybody's got a journey. There's a little bit that's on your website, but reading it and then actually hearing it from in your own words is different. Everybody's got a bit of a journey on how they kind of get into doing what they're doing. Some people have been doing it for a really long time. Others, something has happened, or they come across maybe an idea. It could be done better. Maybe they had an experience that they thought it could be better. And so I'm curious to ask you, like, how and why did you get into doing what you're doing? What was that journey like?
Well, it started off, I was a high school teacher, math and science, and I was also a principal. And I did that for about 12 to 15 years. And about 8 years ago, my sister suddenly passed away, which obviously was life-changing. And there's nothing worse than unwanted change, the change that feels like the carpet is ripped out from underneath you. That type of change definitely has a huge impact on your life. And I would have to say her death at a very young age of 41 with 2 young kids, as shocking and sudden as it was for us, this girl full of life, there was beautiful silver linings in her death. And one of them was how she empowered everyone else through her death to pause for a second and say, what do I really want to do with my life? I'm very lucky that I have a very supportive husband. And when this death of my sister happened, I kind of started to second guess what I was doing. And I loved what I was doing, but I just wanted more. I wanted more time with my family. I wanted to be more creative. I always taught yoga and fitness on the side. And I just knew there was something bigger that I wanted to do. So through discussions with him and through taking a year off from my work, I had time. And that's something that is the most invaluable thing you can have, is time. And for the first time in my life, from someone who became a principal at the age of 28, I was always a go-getter and always wanting that next challenge. I had a moment to just think, what do I actually really want to do? Where do I want to leave an impact? I started to realize this is what I wanted to do. And we start to dream up ideas and search for land. And I let it be open, though, instead of being too boxed in. I had a vision of kind of what I wanted to do, but I've let it really unfold as it's been unfolding. I knew I wanted to develop something that was an experience, not necessarily just a place. I wanted to stay away from the 4 walls, and I wanted to have energy coming in, different people's energy, different people's ideas. So, the name of the Vicki Tree comes from my sister, who used to decorate her tree when she was younger. Decorate her tree from January till March for her kids. So instead of throwing out her Christmas tree, she put it on the porch and decorated it. And so unfortunately, when she passed away, and it says this on my website, that when she passed away, it happened to be at Christmas time, after Christmas into January, and her tree was still there when we arrived. So we pulled it out onto the doorstep. We decorated it with her young kids at the time as a celebration of her life. And everybody around, all her friends, also did the same. And there was pictures all over the internet of different Vicki trees. So it just seemed like a nice fit that if I called the studio Vicki Tree, I would keep almost like a compass, keep my compass in the right direction, to remember why I opened it, to remember that competitive edge that my sister didn't have, that she instead got more excited and felt more successful by seeing other people successful. And so, that has really been that compass that I've been following, that, I want to do well, but I also want other people to do well. And for that very reason, you won't see my face very much on Instagram and Facebook. And my name is Virginia, not Vicki. And it's because it's Vicki Tree Wellness is not Virginia's. Vicki Tree Wellness, I hope everyone feels this way, that it's theirs, that the wellness leaders that come and teach or rent the space, or anyone that's celebrating anything of their life in the space, that they feel like it's actually their space. And that's been very important to me. So that's kind of the change in my life that led to this dramatic pivot from this great little pension that I had to this studio of unknown. That's kind of where I went.
Wow. What a great story. I like what you said about making, Vicki Tree Wellness it's not yours. It's there for everybody, and creating that brand that people can get associated with.
I do find a lot of brands nowadays are so much around a person's face, whether it's on TikTok or it's Instagram. It's you see the same person's face all the time, and there's so much more out there than just one person. And I feel I gravitate a lot more to the posts on Instagrams or social media where the person is purposely tries to disappear because it's not about them. It's about the service they're offering, and it's about how they can help you feel empowered. That piece of leadership is really important to me with Vicki Tree. Sometimes I'm hesitant to do these interviews, but yeah, I think it's important also to get out there about our space, because one thing I don't do very much is advertise Vicki Tree Wellness, because I feel that the energy naturally finds its way into the space. So the right mindset ends up coming into Vicki Tree, where it's a rustic space and it's a long driveway and we have an outhouse outside and nice washrooms inside. Yes, but there's bugs and there's this setting of just simpleness. And that's the energy that I'm looking for. People that want to leave the weight of everything, of how you look, how you dress, who you know, how much money you have in the bank, how important you are, what's your symbol, your status, and then you just arrive. And everyone that arrives at Vicki Tree, we're just people. We're just people enjoying a day. Our heart is beating, our breath is flowing. What more could you possibly want?
100%. Jeff and I embody that. Just real people having a real conversation, just connecting together as human beings. That's what we like about that, and certainly love that about what you're doing out there. So can you tell us, are there any like misconceptions or any myths when it comes to what you guys do every day you hear from customers?
Well, one thing is people will constantly say it's a yoga studio, and the yoga piece is what I love. Like, I love yoga. I've always loved teaching yoga. I've always loved practicing yoga. But the misconception is that the space is this yoga studio, and nothing against yoga studios. I love yoga studios, but the space is a yoga place, a yoga studio, plus other things too, whatever you want it to be. And another misconception is around the yoga piece, the hot stone restorative class that we built. I have like so many couples that come, so many men that come, so many overweight, so many 92-year-olds, all levels, all ages, all sizes, all genders. So it's taking that idea that yoga is a posture, and that there's all these things on TikTok with handstands and all these different pretzel moves and acrobats, which is wonderful. If that's what you love about yoga, then there's lots of spaces you can go in and do those things. But yoga really is 1% asanas, which is postures. And yoga is so much more about clearing your mind and finding peace from within. And it's just so important to find a place to practice, if it's yoga you're looking for, that fits you. And so if you want to do the handstands and the acrobats, there is beautiful energetic flow classes that you can do that in. But if you would like to, really settle into who you are in your body, there's classes you can do that in too. So I always tell people, go to 100 different studios and find the fit that works for you, whether it's an instructor or whether it's the space itself. So I just really feel the biggest misconception is what people think yoga is today, because the North American way and style of yoga has kind of taken it to a level that I wouldn't necessarily agree with. And so if you head back to Costa Rica, where we go to visit quite a bit, when I go to Costa Rica to practice yoga, it's just so beautiful, because the postures are taken out of yoga and you're back to the real strong, crisp base of yoga, which has so much more to do with who you are, turning your internal gaze on.
Yeah, education is a big thing when it comes to people learning, and then that being, misconceptions and leading people down the wrong path with that. So happy that we get the chance to maybe rectify that for those who are listening to our show right now. And yoga, I mean, a beautiful thing for the mind, body, soul, and you don't have to do crazy postures to be able to sweat your butt off, right?
No, not at all. I mean, there's so many different ways you can meditate. I'm an ultra runner, so I run quite long distances, and I can be running for hours, and I've just meditated for hours. I don't even remember where I came or what trail I was on. So that's called moving meditation. So there's just 1,000 different ways for you to find a way to let go of your stress and embrace the moment now.
100%. Well, that might be a good segue. You mentioned a couple things there, which are going to get me excited to ask you. When we're not working on the business or working in the business. What do you like to do for fun?
I like to do lots of things for fun. I run. Mountain biking is huge for me. Anything to do with nature is very big for me, just to be in the forest. I have 3 Australian Shepherds. They're part of Vicki Tree. They're part of the package. When you drive down the driveway, you got to, stop maybe for 10 minutes because they'll sit there and look at you and not let you through. I really do think it's important to find balance in your life. And another reason why I don't want Vicki Tree to grow too fast, because I always want to have it manageable and still be able to do the things I love. I suffered from an eating disorder and depression when I was about 20 for 3 or 4 or 5 years, had intense therapy for it. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, because it has reminded me that no matter what, my mental health comes first. It comes ahead of my kids, comes ahead of my husband. It comes ahead of everyone, because without my positive mental health, I'm not going to be that great mother or a wife that's supportive, or even professionally someone that can help my clients, or even support or teach them in a way that works for them. So for me, my mental health, by all means, comes ahead of everyone. And my kids know that. And my husband knows that. My husband, knows that. Yeah. Don't have husbands. I can only handle one. I got 3 dogs and a husband and 2 kids.
Oh, very nice. How old are your kids?
They're 15 and 16.
Nice. So are they still kind of hanging around, or are they off kind of gallivanting, wanting to do their things now that they're...
Yeah, they have their things, like 15 and 16, right? You kind of grab on as long as you can. You hold on to them and you slowly let go of the grip without really wanting to. So they're really into the running as well, and mental health. And so it's just nice. It's nice to see my family. We've worked so hard to maintain balance. I don't think you ever find balance. You just work every single day on maintaining this healthy work-life balance, which both me and my husband, he also runs his own business. And we're adamant on that. There is no job. There is no client important enough that will hinder in any way our mental health. And so that's a must. And we tell our clients that as well. And they agree with it. So we really try to bring in everything, our values, into our work and also into our home life. And we struggle often and every day. Let's not pretend this is all happy-go-lucky. I mean, there's many times that we have to sit and pause, and I'm like, what's happening here? Too fast, too much. So about every 2 weeks, me and my husband usually have a serious conversation, and we take a look at the next 2 to 4 weeks. And if we need to pivot, if something's not working, then we have to pivot. So if something wasn't working, then we would end up selling everything here. As long as nothing is forever in your mind, you can pivot at any point in time you want. And without using money as an excuse or any of that stuff, I really feel that at any point in time you can pivot. You can pivot at any point in time. We all live in Canada. We're very, very lucky to be in this country, and there's endless opportunities for us. And there's many different houses you can live in. There's many different spaces you can live in, and there's many different choices you have that others don't. And so, making the hard choices to continue to have a healthy lifestyle.
Well said. Tell me about your Australian Shepherds. What kind?
3 Australian Shepherds. 1 is a blue merle.
Okay.
2 are black and white tries. And they're all under the age of 3.
Nice.
Yeah.
A 3-year-old red tri.
So nice.
Very familiar.
Okay, great.
Are they all boys, girls?
They're all boys. They're all boys. Yeah. Yeah, and they're busy. And this is interesting fact, if anyone's interested on this, they got hit with porcupines probably about 15 times. And I mean 15 separate hits with 40 to 50 quills. Wow. All this probably in the last month and a half, maybe. So we live in the woods, so there's some negatives to living in the woods. But the poor little things, they don't stop. They just keep going after them. So at this point, the porcupines are quillless because there's no quills left. I'm like, There's no way that porcupine has any quills left on him.
Wow, that's pretty wild. Yeah, because sometimes you forget, right? Unless you're in the space, as much as you guys are to know about that. Are they sucky?
The dogs, are they like, they all have their own personalities. I'm sure yours has its own personality, but some of them are the alpha dogs and the other ones are, they're always around me. And they're just, isn't it amazing? Like they always love you. Like dogs just always love you. No matter what you do, they will still love you. It's just the most beautiful relationship, I think, in the world.
100%. Mine is Big Suck. And if he doesn't get enough attention, he'll let you know it. He's got this little paw thing. I don't know if yours do that as well too, but if he's not getting it, he's going to paw at your feet. And he likes to go between my legs and get his little butt scratch and stuff like that. So.
Oh yeah. They're just beautiful. Yeah. What's your dog's name?
Jax.
Nice.
Yeah. I named him after Jax Teller from Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, okay. Yes, I watched that show. Yes. That's hilarious. Yeah.
Your husband is a business owner as well too. What's his business?
Mm-hmm. So he runs a mergers and acquisition company. So that was always his dream, and he's worked really hard and really enjoys his business.
Phenomenal stuff. Absolutely love it. Okay, so this question, a little bit more on the serious side. You've touched on it. I'd imagine this would be the one, but sometimes in life we pick a path, we go down that path, and then life will throw us curveballs. Sometimes it's in a form of tragedy, other it's form of life challenges. We have to, deal with those as they get thrown at us. And I've always been impressed at the resiliency that human beings have at being able to overcome these things and finding silver linings, like you talked about it. But have you ever had what you have? Maybe would you be okay with maybe talking a little bit more about what some of those silver linings were for you and how you overcame those? Yeah,
the death of my sister is one thing. My marriage, we've always had a strong marriage, but the silver lining is within her death, the connection between me and my husband, I found grew the support he gave me. And we just changed the way we treated each other. The way we fought changed. It's just not important. Like, before there was, fighting to win, when your kids are younger, win more time, win more recognition for all the chores you did, and then afterwards, the fighting was finished. There was no win. I disagree with you. This is how I feel. And then I was able just to let it go and move on with no resentment. Letting go of resentment was huge for me. Type A personality, always having to achieve. And within her death, it's not important. So I really find, that was one of the biggest things for me, was being able to move on. And also, I realized I don't have patience anymore for people that find ways to complain. Hardship happens, you talk about it, you deal with it, but to use it as a crutch forever. When I see my sister's children and how they've moved on, and seen her husband and how he's working so hard to raise her 2 kids. My patience with my friendships changed, my relationships with people changed, but all for the better. I just didn't want to win any more fights. I didn't want to win or have to prove or have to justify. And I find that was the biggest silver lining for me. The one hardship that was very difficult within her death was letting go of the fear of instantly losing somebody. So we had spoken on the phone, and then all of a sudden, that's it. It's over. There's no discussion. There's nothing. It's gone. She's dead. DEAD. It's dead. And unless you've lost someone, you don't understand the finalness of death. And that to me isn't a gift. It's a gift that I don't wish on anyone, because you'd only be able to experience a sudden loss of someone that, plays a very integral part of your life. Someone that wasn't supposed to die, just gone.
Right.
So what my biggest struggle with it afterwards was letting my kids get out the door. Because as soon as what if they were gone? And it was a huge struggle, this panic, this anxiety all day, wondering, and I couldn't let that fester. I could have made it had an impact on me for the rest of my life, and I would be justified in the reasons why. But the silver lining in her death was that's not good enough. excuse on why to continue to live in fear. And so when people, whether it's a cancer scare or whether there's a divorce, there's 100 different things that happen to us where the carpet is just pulled out. And I'm not going to minimize any one of them. I'm just saying the carpet has been pulled out. You can live for the rest of your life in fear that the cancer might come back, that no one's ever going to love you in the next marriage you're in, and maybe never love anyone again. You can live in fear or you can't. Like you just have to choose. You have to choose. And so there was one pivotal moment that I realized I can't do this anymore. I can't put my kids on the bus and all day long check to see where they are, track their phones, find out. So every day now I've decided, whether this is healthy or not, I don't know, but it's the way that works for me. And you kind of find your own thing. I live every day when I speak with my children or I interact with them as if it's my last day I'm going to have with them. And it's not a bad thing. I'm like, I get another moment with them. When they call, I get to talk to them. I'm so happy. And when I hang up that phone or when I let them go out the door, it might be the last time I'm going to see them. So that is where I've changed my interactions with people, because every time I'm with them now, I don't need a win at the end. Maybe they're no longer part of my life anymore, some relationships, because it's just too much for me. I'm not interested in that. And so then I've walked away from a lot of relationships, but not walked away in anger, trying to prove or to justify. I just walked away and continued to live my life. And so that is the silver lining in Vicki's death. Without her death, I would have never had this gift of being able to kind of put on a different set of glasses and being okay with knowing, because it's true. The last conversation I had with my kid could be the last time I'm speaking with him. And that might sound morbid to some people, but to me, it's like, what a great conversation I had. We never hang up the phone angry. Me and my husband never go to bed angry at each other, no matter what he does. In the end, I'm always like, hey, love you too. And that's it. And so everyone in my family has that gift, all four of us, because we were so close with Vicki, that we definitely have it. My kids will be so upset with me and slam the door. And then as I'm walking by or hear them say, they'll be like, but Mom, I love you. You know that. I'm like, I know that, honey. Right? So that wouldn't have happened without her death. And it's so magical.
Thank you very much for opening up and sharing that with us. Very well said. And we asked that, it's the same, we always ask the same subset of questions with every show. And a lot of times we will get something, tragic that happened in that person's life. And there's a lot of what you said there is a common denominator for people who brush up with it. Or get a scare or experience that close sudden loss. And the way you described it, I am learning myself because I haven't had an experience like that. I'm with somebody who has. And so, I'm a long-term planner. I got that from my mother, and she kind of takes it day by day. So we kind of have that, I call it a harmony.
Yeah, it's so beautiful when you both bring something to the table, right?
Yeah, and trying to put on those lenses. It truly is a very fulfilling way to live life, because the people who haven't experienced that, they just don't know. They don't know that lens. But when you can live in the moment a little bit more, I did that the other day. We were on the fishing boat, and I was just with my parents, and I just took a moment. I realized I was a little bit too focused in kind of what I was doing, and I just took a moment to just stop fishing and just kind of look around and
it's so nice.
Breathe it in and stuff like that. So
yeah, so nice.
What's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
Well, maybe that it exists for celebrations of life. I would like to run more celebrations of life at Vicki Tree, and we will be offering I'm just working on it now, 4 times a year, a grief 1-day retreat that will happen spring, summer, fall, and winter. And I think it's a perfect space for it, because the thing about grief, everyone's like, oh, in time it goes away. It does not go away. It does not go away in any way, shape, or form. You just build a bucket of tools that you can dip into as you remember or as it comes back to you. Grief doesn't ask when it's going to come back. It hits you all of a sudden for no reason. And so I think it's really important to have these days scheduled in the calendar well in advance. So whether you've lost someone 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, it feels the exact same way every time you open up your eyes in the morning. Time doesn't not help. It's probably the worst thing you could ever say to somebody is, oh yeah. The worst comment I ever get from someone, I'm going to put this out there on the podcast, is, oh, so when did you lose your sister? And I was like, oh, 8 years ago. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's been a while. What does that matter? And they don't even realize they're saying it, right? So they're not trying to be rude, but there's a few things with grief that you just don't want to say to somebody. And in fact, after I had this one lady who lost her daughter who would always come to my spin class before Vicki passed away. And I would be so inspired by her that she could get up and actually come to these 6 a.m. morning classes. So I would say some things to her, whatever it was I said. As soon as my sister died, the next time I saw her, I went up to her and I just said, I just need to apologize. She didn't even ask me for what, because she knew now I knew what. And I just said, I'm so sorry for some of the things. And she goes, I know what you're sorry for and not a problem, because now you know. And I feel bad for you that you know, because the only way you would know is if you actually lost someone. And so it's this unspoken understanding that grief is always there. And so at Vicki Tree, I would love to run more celebration of lives because we don't plan those. We plan weddings way in advance. And then when someone passes away, we're just shoved with all this stuff and we just make decisions. And I would like to run more celebrations of life. I just have to think about the advertising behind it because it's a touchy subject and I want to make sure I do it properly and honor Vicki's memory in the process.
Definitely excited to talk to you about that on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's transition. Good segue into for those who now are interested in wanting to either do a celebration of life, a corporate retreat, whether it's on the yoga side, just to experience nature, everything that Vicki Tree Wellness has to offer. What is the best way that they can reach you?
Definitely by email. So wellness@vickitree.com is the best way to reach me. And then we usually schedule a call and then we kind of go from there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story with us. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people listening to this to get a new profound look on life itself and also the things you spoke about with grief. Definitely people learned some things. I did as well too. Great person, great business. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this.
Well, thank you for connecting everybody. Really appreciate what you guys do. And I look forward to listening to a few of your podcasts. And I hope we can, connect at some other time.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.